The cursed mansion of Ikiti. In the serene and affluent streets of Ikiti, a blood-curdling scream pierced the midnight air, shattering the calmness. It came from the home of Nene, a widow whose husband had died mysteriously months earlier. The scream was raw and terrifying, echoing through the neighborhood, pulling people from their dreams into a waking nightmare. At the mansion's front gate, Udo and Chima, the security guards, froze mid-conversation. Udo, the older of the two, leaped to his feet, his heart pounding like a drum. "Did you hear that?" Udo whispered, his voice tinged with fear. Chima nodded, gripping his flashlight as his hands trembled. "It's Madame Nene. Something must be wrong." Without a second thought, the two men dashed toward the house, their boots crunching against the gravel. "Madame Nene. Are you all right?" Udo called out, his voice echoing through the stillness. But there was no response, only another gut-wrenching scream from within the house. Inside, Nene stood frozen in the corner of her luxurious bathroom. Her back was pressed against the marble sink, and her hands gripped the countertop so tightly that her knuckles turned white. The pristine room, with its gold fixtures and sparkling white tiles, had transformed into a horrifying scene. Rats. Hundreds, maybe thousands of them, poured out of every crevice. They scurried across the floor, clawing at the walls and clambering over the sink. Their dark, beady eyes glinted under the flickering bathroom light, their teeth gnashing audibly as they squealed and scratched. Some were massive, the size of small cats, while others darted about with terrifying speed. "Chika! Help me!" Nene screamed, her voice cracking in sheer terror. In the servants' quarters, Chika jolted awake. The piercing scream made her heart race as panic set in. She grabbed the broom resting by her bed and bolted toward Madame Nene's room, her bare feet slapping against the polished wooden floors. Outside, Udo and Chima pounded on the mansion's front door, yelling, "Madame Nene, open the door. What's happening?" But their shouts were drowned out by Nene's continued screams from inside. In the bathroom, the rats moved in waves, their claws clicking against the tiles as they scrambled toward her. Nene's breath came in ragged gasps, her body trembling uncontrollably. Chika barged into the room, clutching the broom tightly. The sight before her made her freeze in her tracks. "Madame Nene. What is this?" She stammered, her eyes wide with horror. "Kill them. Kill them all." Nene screamed, tears streaming down her face. "Don't let them take over the house." Chika swung the broom furiously, smashing rats left and right. The room filled with the sickening crunch of bones and the high-pitched squeals of dying rodents. But for every rat she killed, more seemed to appear, spilling from the drain and cracks in the walls. "Madam, this isn't normal." Chika panted, retreating as a particularly large rat lunged at her. "These rats, they are not natural." The rats began to climb the walls and leap into the air, their movements almost coordinated. Nene and Chika fled the bathroom, slamming the door shut behind them. By now, Udo and Chima had forced their way into the house. Hearing the commotion, they rushed upstairs. "Madame Nene. What's going on?" Udo shouted, his voice laced with fear. Chika quickly explained the horrifying scene they had just escaped from. Determined to help, Udo and Chima armed themselves with sticks and flashlights before cautiously entering the bathroom. The sight that greeted them was unlike anything they had ever seen. The rats swarmed like a living tide, their sharp teeth gnashing as they climbed over one another. Udo swung his stick, but the rats only multiplied, their squeals growing louder and more menacing. Overwhelmed, the men stumbled out of the bathroom, their faces pale and drenched in sweat. This is evil," Udo muttered, trembling. "I've never seen anything like this." Nene, paralyzed with fear, clutched her phone and dialed her mother, Chioma, who lived in their family village of Okpo. "Nene, what's wrong?" Chioma's concerned voice came through the line. Mama, the house, it's infested with rats. They're everywhere, and they won't stop, Nene sobbed. I think the house is cursed. Leave that room immediately, Chioma commanded, her voice firm. You are not safe there. Nene nodded, though Chioma couldn't see her, and quickly locked the bathroom door. Exhausted and terrified, she and Chika retreated to the living room. Despite her fear, sleep eventually claimed Nene. But in the early hours of the morning, a faint sound woke her. She heard whispers and saw a flickering light outside the house. Curious and uneasy, she crept to the window and peeked through the curtains. What she saw made her heart skip a beat. Chika was outside, holding a candle and muttering something under her breath. The flickering light cast eerie shadows on her face, making her look almost unrecognizable. Nene's heart raced. Was Chika behind all of this? Before she could decide whether to confront her, Chika looked up sharply, as though sensing she was being watched. Nene quickly retreated from the window and pretended to be asleep. The next morning, Nene confronted Chika. What were you doing outside last night? Chika's eyes widened in surprise. I was praying, madam. After everything that happened, I thought we needed protection. Though suspicious, Nene decided to let it go for the moment. She had bigger problems to deal with. She decided to check the bathroom, but when she opened the door, she was shocked to find it spotless. The rats were gone. The tiles gleamed, and there wasn't a single trace of the previous night's horrors. Madam, this doesn't make sense, Chika whispered, clutching her broom. They were here. We both saw them. Later that day, Nene's neighbor, Uju, visited. Nene, we all heard the screams last night. What happened? It was nothing, Nene lied, forcing a smile. Just rats. Rats. Uju frowned. That didn't sound like rats. And I've heard stories about this house. Strange things have happened here before. Nene's stomach churned as Uju told her about the house's dark history. The previous tenants had left after their daughter tried to kill them in her sleep, claiming she was possessed. The more Nene listened, the more she regretted ever moving in. When Chioma arrived that evening, she immediately sensed something was wrong. She walked through the house, sprinkling holy water and praying. Her attention soon fell on a painting in the living room, a serene village scene. Where did this come from? Chioma asked sharply. It was here when we moved in, Nene replied. Chioma's face darkened. Without a word, she yanked the painting from the wall and carried it outside. She poured kerosene over it and set it ablaze. As the flames consumed the painting, an ear-piercing screech filled the air. At that moment, Uju burst out of her house, screaming and clawing at her arms. I'll confess. I'll confess, she cried, collapsing to the ground. Uju revealed that she had cursed the house to drive out tenants and force them to sell at a loss. I never meant for anyone to die, she sobbed. In the days that followed, Uju and her accomplice, a fake pastor, were arrested. Relieved but scarred, Nene decided to sell the house and move into a small apartment. With her mother and Chika by her side, she began rebuilding her life, leaving the horrors of Ikiti behind. Moral lesson. Greed and dishonesty lead to destruction. Faith, family, and courage can overcome even the darkest challenges. Evil deeds will always come to light, no matter how well they are hidden. Hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, please like the video, comment, share it with your family and friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more enchanting tales like this one. Goodbye.